Barbwire Massacre 3. I'm still recovering. But welcome to another episode of the Anthem of Impact Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Jason, as always, coming to you every week, most of the time, with another Impact review from last night, January 18th, 2018. Overall, the show was really not much. Whoa, tons of filler. It might have made a little more sense with all the filler if they had advertised that Genesis was coming up anytime soon. Then just all of a sudden, like, no mention to Genesis whatsoever, that it was coming up, that matches were going to be set for it, nothing. Just randomly out of one of their video hype packages at the end of it was like, next week at Genesis, Seidel versus EC3. And we're like, wait, what? I totally forgot that they even started to record an episode of Genesis up there in Canada. I totally forgot about that. So the fact that they didn't have that is kind of crazy. Or that they hadn't really talked about it until, like, all of a sudden. One match, and I'll start here for going through kind of the whole night. The first match, which was Desmond Xavier versus Taiji Ishimori for that X Division Championship, should not be, and obviously it's going to be because Barbwire Massacre was so insane, so intense, and it's so different. I really hate the fact that this match, though, with the X Division match, is being overshadowed, because this match was by far an insanely awesome match. Just so good. Sorry, I got interrupted. My phone's blowing up over here. Anyway, no, sorry guys. They were telling a good story throughout. You felt like that X Division title was so important. Just the way that they kept kicking out at things, the way they were putting their body on the line. That insane spot where Desmond Xavier goes running and jumps over, like, from not using ropes, nothing, not springboarding out of anything, jump from inside the ring, over the turnbuckle, out over the outside, over the barrier, and into the crowd onto Taiji Ishimori, and that was insane. What a spot! I mean, it was insane. I mean, in all honesty, I could probably watch those two guys go at it forever. I could watch a whole hour-and-a-half long match and I would not get bored. I mean, that's just kind of what they do, But Ishimori ends up getting the win. Thought they really did everything just so well, and they sold everything so well. That is exactly how you should kick off a show. I mean, it started off with the match. There was no talking, just went right into the match, and then they just came with it, and they went hard, and I thought it was a well done match. Excuse me. And to everybody that sits there and complains about 205, if you want to see that type of wrestling, just tune in to Impact. It's on TV, Pop TV Thursday nights. If you don't get Pop, do the Fight Network. However you can watch it. Watch it on YouTube, because I know these full episodes somehow get loaded up on YouTube. People load them up on there. So if you want to watch real good cruiserweight high flying wrestling, it's very simple. Just tune in Thursday nights Pop TV and watch Impact, and you will see that. Instead, you're going to keep sitting there weekly, week in, week out, getting on here on YouTube or getting on social media of some sort and complaining about it. Well, stop watching it. Watch other things. Because I'll tell you right now, that's how you do it. And Impact's not the only ones that do it. You know, obviously Lucha Underground, that's like their whole thing. And then, you know, Ring of Honor even does some a lot of this type of stuff too. So, but anyway, then this is kind of where it really started coming down for me. Started noticing, obviously, like, okay, this is nothing but hype video and hype video and hype video. I think the ones that they did, the two-parter thing that they did for the Barbwire Massacre, the real hype videos for that, I thought were done amazingly well, and really did. I was already really excited for that match, but this even just, you know, it kind of kept reminding you of everything that that you had seen that you might have forgotten about, all in one package, and was done really well, and it got you really pumped up for it. But this is kind of where I was really definitely like, okay, lot of recap. You know, then they went to that AT&T video, you know, American Top Team video package, and to, you know, cutting promos on that, knowing it's going to be Lashley versus Moose at Genesis. And then there was one thing that they did. They had edited kind of like a promo hype video of Allie and Laurel, and like there was a voiceover of Allie saying all these different things. And then right after that hype video, they went to Mackenzie Mitchell with Allie, and Allie gave that exact promo. So it was like, why did you edit in a promo that hadn't been seen yet? I'm kind of curious, because they usually don't do anything that absurd whenever they're editing. They're pretty good about knowing chronologically when it's going to happen, which is kind of why I kind of wonder if some of these things are happening out of order than what they were expecting it to be. Or maybe it was just this one-time miss-up, but it was like literally like almost verbatim. It was, you know, Laurel, I haven't forgotten what you've done, you know, what you did to me in the past. You know, you treated me like a slave, and you bossed me around, and you bullied me. You know, this is my time now. It's Allie's time. You know, I'm gonna take it. And it was like word for word how it was, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds so bad happening right after that. But then we go to Congo Khan versus Chandler Park again. This is I was kind of expecting something else, because I was kind of expecting how this, you know, might go with Chandler Park. I wasn't expecting such a squash match. Not that they were going to have like a competitive match, but I thought there was going to be more storytelling involved, and there really wasn't. It was just Congo Kong straight up squashing Chandler Park. And then the only other kind of story that they told about it was at the end, you know, they continued to kind of beat on Chandler a little bit. And then finally Joseph Park came in, you know, to kind of be like, no, just leave him alone. And, you know, Jimmy Jacobson was like, this is real monster. This is just pathetic. And then left. So I kind of, you know, the story I guess that they're trying to tell more is the Abyss story again, instead of the Chandler story, which I thought that's where they were going. They still might go somewhere else with it, but you know, as far as what I can tell right now, that's kind of where I'm leaning, and what I'm thinking. But you know, again, I wasn't expecting like a creative match. I was just expecting more of a story to come out of this than what there really was. Then we go to the three-way global championship match between Johnny Impact, Eli Drake, and Alberto El Patron. Again, whenever they edit it up, like, you know, cut it up like crazy, it gets taken in a place that looks, you know, like it's about as big as my living room. You know, that part doesn't necessarily, as long as it's packed and it's loud, that part doesn't really bother me. The ring looked super small, looked about like the size of my bed. The ropes, I don't know if they broke earlier in the night. And this is kind of what I'm thinking about. You know, I'm hoping whenever Dawn and with these new episodes, if they do this stuff outside, they have to start stepping in and going, look, I understand it's not your guys' fault that the ring ropes broke. You know, I'm sorry that the ring ropes broke, but we're no longer recording our match here tonight. We'll still let our guys go out, but we're just not going to record it because it will look bad on TV for us, because there's no context of the ring ropes broke earlier in the night and this is what they're dealing with. Because those ropes were god awful, man. I mean, they look like arms of the inflatable, you know, Bailey's buddies. You know what I'm talking about? The inflatable car dealership people. That's what the ropes look like. They were just awful. I mean, whenever they're like trying to kind of like use the ropes a little bit, like you could tell they're just kind of running up to it, turning, and then going like this. They're clearly not using them. You know, Impact was never going up to the top ropes like he usually does to do any type of moves. It was just bad. Of course, it goes to a no contest for no reason. It's just that match should have never been on TV. Should never happen. That was terrible. I mean, obviously they announced that there's a rematch happening at Genesis, so I don't know if that was planned before they knew that they were going to do this thing at Genesis or how that all booking came together. It just feels very sloppy and not well done. I was not a big fan of, not a big fan of that stuff. Then we get Rosemary versus Casey Spinelli. That was a pretty good match. I think they towed the line just about perfect to where Rosemary still looked dominant, but it didn't like bury Casey Spinelli. I think she still looked like a very viable option for competition. She still looked legit in the ring. Could be a threat at some point down the road without it like kind of coming out of nowhere. I've been really impressed with Casey Spinelli. Hopefully she continues and keeps doing well. Obviously the top of the Knockouts division is pretty stacked right now. So I think Casey for right now is kind of just there to put on good matches with people. And then hopefully that will always kind of, evolve and change and she can show what she's really got. Then we get kind of the thing that the day it broke yesterday that supposedly, allegedly as far as I know, Hania, oh gosh, I just butchered her name. Whatever her name is, the Huntress, was fired due to her not wanting to put over Su Yung, her showing up late, her being difficult, her having a bad attitude, and all this stuff. And then they went ahead and showed her debut. Okay. I mean, I guess they figured, look, we have the footage. We're just going to use it. Sure. But whatever. Again, I don't necessarily care too much either way because I'm just ready for February 1st and those episodes to happen anyway. Then we get a bunch more hype videos. And then we finally get to the best thing of the night. Barbwire Massacre 3. Whoa. I mean, just... And no offense to Sabu and Abyss and Judas Macias, who goes by Mil Muertes now, or if you ever watch him as Ricky Banderas. Those guys did put on great matches. They put their bodies on line. It was insane. None of those were ever bad. This one could be the best one yet, though. Just because instead of just one-on-one, it was 3-on-3. So it was just even more insane stuff because they could. Because, we're just seeing spot after spot after spot. But in the ring for those guys, it's different people every time. So they're only putting on, really per person, so many spots. But we're seeing it all come together. And I just thought it was done really well, especially because it could have been a big clusterfuck, and it kind of was. But like in a good way. Because it could have been really messy and really bad and just all over the place with that many people. I didn't know what was coming there towards the end when Santana pulled out whatever he had in his back pocket, and all of a sudden you see him go, and, I think it was JB or Josh. I want to say it was Josh, actually, I think, that mentioned, they're wooden skewers. And when he put it on his head and he's kind of doing this thing, I was kind of thinking, okay. He's not really hitting them too hard. He's probably just, look, now I'm going to throw him down. No! Oh my God! They were stuck in his head! That was probably the worst sickening looking thing of the whole night. I know that's weird saying that, but to me, because I've seen Barbwire Massacre matches before, you kind of get the gif of how they're gimmicked a little bit. But that wasn't, oh my God, that was so gross. That was insane. Man, that was gross. But just the match overall was so good, so well done, so well put together. But then, as they're falling, like we've seen in the past where, Sabu goes running and he kind of runs into the ropes and kind of catches himself. the barbed wire ropes and stuff like that. But like they were falling through these ropes, like that was oh. And then like the one time where Homicide really went through and like as he went down, kind of caught his arm in the barbed wires. It's kind of like sandwiched in between that and the ring. Oh, that was so gross. And then Jake Chris got it really bad. So then they like just cut him down and like wrapped him around it. Doing the pile driver onto the barbed wired chair. Ah, oh, Jesus, it was so gruesome, man. It was awesome. The only thing, like, if there's one thing I can sit here and talk about, and I think a lot of people can agree, and it's in no disrespect to those 6 guys at all. I'm sure they were legit trying to get this on pop, so whatever color that they showed was just kind of on accident. So you only saw like a little bit, like I think on Dave's arms, I think a little bit on Homicide, but it was just like little nicks that it wasn't really anything. I think if they would have just planned on having it, hey, if they knew in advance, listen, we're going to do a deal with Twitch, and this is going to be like kind of the first kind of big event on our Twitch channel, and they could go kind of uncensored, I think they would have bladed a little bit and shown a little more color and really gotten it more invested. Because that's the only thing is, look, I'm all for people's safety, these wrestlers' safety and stuff like that. And so, like, if they're not down for, blading and stuff like that, I would never ask anybody to do something like that. Just as a critic of the finished product of the entertainment that I am consuming, sometimes it's hard to really dive in and feel like everything is real if they're really, like, you're dealing with a lot of barbed wire and tables and chairs and the baseball bat and the ladders and all this stuff, and whenever you don't really see any blood, you definitely start questioning, is this real, right? And the whole part of wrestling is being worked. So I think that they probably would have shown a little more blood if they would have known what definitely wasn't going to be on pop. And I definitely say that even thinking like, I think the guys in the match deserve to show a little more color, because to get more people to really be like, oh my God, that could, I think, really took it even more over the top. But with blood, without blood, that match was insane. It was done very, very well. And man, I can't wait to keep seeing more people find this out and start watching this stuff. And it just gets me more psyched and stoked to see what the future holds for Impact Wrestling and see what Don Callis and Scott D'Amore have in store for us with these tapings upcoming starting February 1st. We still got to get through next week, unfortunately. But it does look like a stacked card. Hopefully it's a little more stacked than what this show was. Anyway, until next time, Impact Nation, enjoy your weekend and peace.